Today in the garage, we take a transmission that's built to take 750 horsepower, make it stronger, make it cooler, and hopefully it'll last longer. Come along, I'll show you how. It's got a lot to do with pans and not the kind in the kitchen. Special shout out to Hughes. When I called and talked to them and told them what I was doing, I paid my own money. I've got my own opinions about this, and this was not given to me for free. Trust me, I paid for this, the torque converter. I wasn't anyone special, but they took such good care of me. They answered all my questions. I told them what I wanted to do, what I wanted to use, and specifically, I talked to a gentleman named Steve. Steve's the one that actually went through my build sheet with me, and we spec'd out the torque converter that's hiding over here in the box. I'm ready to get this thing in here. I want to get it in the truck, but there's some things we got to do. Got to get the pan changed. Deep pan, more cooling capacity, more strength case. This is, I think this, yeah, it's a stamp pan. Not a bad thing. Everything on this transmission would be absolutely workable right now, but I'm about a little bit more overkill. I want that stamp pan off of there, because I really like that billet one. It's already got our sensor in it. This is ready to go. We've got a gasket. This should keep it from leaking, but I'll take you for a walk around the transmission. Output shaft, governor, dipstick tube, modulator, coolant lines, pump, input shaft. That's where all that'll go. Torque converter usually lives here and spins round and round. On the other side, this is where the linkage goes to go click, click, click to take it in and out of gear and select. That is your kick down switch for the solenoid. That'll kick it down. And then back in the back here, there should be a hole for a speedo, and we'll work on getting that in there. We took the one out of the old transmission, so that way all our speedos indicate fairly close to somewhat right, but we'll work on that as we go. But I'm really happy with this. Hughes, good job. Made a little bit of a mess. Took the drain plug out before I took the bolts out of the pan. Figured this was gonna happen. They ship it being drained of fluid, but as it sits in shipping and stuff like that, anything that's up here in the clutches or in the pump assembly comes down and collects in the pan, so there's a little bit of fluid in it. Knew it was gonna be in there, but nah, I tried to catch it. Just not very good. We'll show y'all more as we go. While we got the bottom off, let's talk about the guts of this thing. Valve body, gear selector, all the solenoid, all this stuff looks really good. I'm really happy with this. It already, because it had a deep pan, I pulled it out just to check. It has the correct long pickup tube in it. We're gonna go ahead and use the hardware that came with the deep pan. The thread lengths are a little bit longer to make up for the difference here. But yeah, the filter sits in here. It's already got the right length that was already in it, spacer, so this will be deep down in the fluid, picking it up at the coolest part where the air is coming by and cooling it. Oh, I'm very excited about this. All right, let's go ahead and get this bottom on, get it swapped out, and get it ready to go. Come to find out, I shouldn't have changed the filter. It already had the right dipstick tube in it. It already had the right spacer in it for the deep pan. Everything was ready to go. Didn't know that, but I double checked it anyway. Now it has a brand new filter on it. I know the one that came in it should have been fine, because the only thing that they would have been doing at Hughes would be dynoing the thing after they put it together. But safe than sorry, it's got a brand new filter in it. It's ready to go. Now let's get the big pan on it, and then I gotta clean the workbench because, yep, fluid everywhere. Exciting. Pan is on. Our temperature sensor is ready to go. Everything bolted up nice. I did not super snug these. Tried to do just a basic, cross pattern. Tighten it up. They only need to be, I think, like literally like, I forget the torque spec. It's like 14 something pounds. It's light. So hand tight, nothing super hard. Don't destroy the gasket that goes along the side. Just make sure it's good and snug. These two machine surfaces and that surface tension of all those bolts should hold that and seal it very well. I'm very excited. All right, let's get the workbench cleaned off now, and then we can put the torque converter in and the dipstick, and then we'll be even closer. Back in the day, way back in the day, before we had the computers with all the modules and things that we have now, we literally had mechanical driven speedos. This literally has a matching gear set that goes up in here, and as the transmission turns, it spins. An output cable comes out here, goes up into the cab, and that's what actually turns the speedo. If your speedo is ever off and you have like a mechanical transmission or anything like that, you can actually change these out to different gear sets and correct your speedo. It's not that bad. This is pretty close to what was in the truck. I think it was off just a little bit, but I wanted it back in, so I took it from the old transmission, bagged it up. This was labeled transmission parts for a reason, but we'll put the gear linkage back on. I thought y'all would like to see that these little plastic gears will spin just as fast as the transmission, and that's what turns your speedo. All right, let's talk torque converters. This is it's kind of a special deal. I called Hughes, gave him a build sheet, told him what the truck weighed, the gear ratios, what tire size I was running, what the motor output was. I even gave them the dyno sheet to show them like, hey, here's where it's making power, here's when it's making power on Blueprints dyno, to all have a better understanding of how to get this set up right. This will absolutely determine the drivability of a vehicle. This is not a part to be overlooked. It's often understated in builds, and I cannot say thank you enough to Hughes for explaining the voodoo of torque converters, because I don't understand it. I can't tell you what the stall converter is, because this application is not exactly a race application. It's a street application. But I trust that Hughes, with all the information that I gave him, that this will decouple when it needs to, it'll hook up when it needs to, it'll help keep this cool, it'll have a nice long life. But it was so worth a phone call to give them a call, tell them what I needed, and they worked with me. I'm not anyone special, but they actually answered all my questions, and they treated me special, and I will not forget that. Thank you guys, and especially you, Steve. Appreciate you. I forgot to film when I was installing it is this bushing at the back. This is the mount that holds it to the frame. It's an energy suspension bushing. It's got an interlock to keep it from coming apart. Heaven forbid we never need it. But we also can do a final tour of this thing. Our transmission pan is on. Our dipstick is in. Our torque converter is ready to go. It's seated all the way in and ready for duty. Our shift linkage is in. And golly, it feels great. Can't wait to get this bolted in chassis and the linkage hooked up so I can try it on the column. I think it's going to feel and sound awesome. Temp sensor, where it's supposed to be. Solenoid was already there, and our speedo cable is in. So we are ready to hook this up to our gauges and know what it's doing. I hope you all have enjoyed. We'll see you all in the next one.